Coming up on 2.5 Geeks, Marco is going to talk Llano, Dave's going to talk about an Alienware, and then we're going to go a little trip through history, something about newspapers. Seriously, and more coming up in a couple seconds.
The bar has been set wicked fast. It rocked in the benchmarks. We're going to up the ante a little bit.
Processing power, maybe. I kind of understand this. Welcome back to 2.5 Geeks. It's been a while, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic.
Good, and you, my friend?
I am doing well. I am having a drink in my Harpoon glass, even though this is not a Harpoon beer. It is a White Hawk IPA. How about you, Dave? Are you drinking anything?
I'm having a non-Harpoon glass Harpoon.
I definitely would like to trade with you at some point because Harpoon is not over on the West Coast. How about you, Marco? What are you having there? You're enjoying what looks to be in a Coca-Cola glass.
Is water.
What? Oh, nothing but pure, straight vodka. For Marco, his water. His water.
Wow.
And once again, I apologize. I apologize to the viewing public. I am not glowing. I still don't have window covering, so I'm just it's overexposed. So let's talk about something that can never get enough exposure. Let's talk about AMD's Llano APUs. We put graphics on the same chip as a processor, but why on a desktop, Marco?
It's a miracle.
I don't seem to understand. Why would you need when you have a desktop? You can actually put an actual graphics card. Why would AMD, which you bought ATI, why would they bother to create Llano for desktop?
He's got a point.
So, well, they bothered because they have the chips. You know, they first launched in the mobile platform, and we showed them a few weeks ago. The desktop stuff is definitely a little tougher sell because, you know, for maybe a few more bucks, you could build a more powerful rig. But the appeal is it's super low power, very inexpensive with built-in DX11 graphics. So you could build, you know, a fairly nice performing, nice small form factor machine for very little money. You know, the chip, the highest end chip, and a motherboard, you can kind of score it for right around the $200 mark. Throw in some memory, and you have a full system. You know, with Radeon 6000 series graphics that'll run anything. You could take advantage of GPU acceleration, 3D games, what have you. But yeah, you know, the question on the desktop is, do I need low power? Well, no, because you have all those different form factors. You're not really constrained like you know, a mobile platform is. So for a few more bucks, yeah, you could build something better. But if you want something cheap with a nice feature set, you know, it does serve a purpose. It is a pretty cool little part.
Now you said nice feature set. What exactly is so nice about this? I mean, it's low power, so if you want to maybe like a low power HTPC, I could see that. But what else makes it intriguing? Why would somebody want to go towards this instead of bothering to have a dedicated graphics card on a desktop?
Makes margaritas.
It does?
Yeah.
Well,
no.
Here's actually an interesting thing that Llano does on the desktop. So let's say you were looking to build a real low-end or entry-level kind of gaming system, and you were looking at, say, a Radeon 6500 series graphics card, you know, under $100 graphics card. If you were to pop that card into an older AMD system or existing Intel system, you know, you get, say, X-level performance out of that card. But with Llano, the internal GPU on the CPU can be cross-fired with that discrete card, and you actually get a performance boost. It's like having two graphics cards in the system. So the reason you would choose something like this, it really is, again, for the small form factor, low power, it's cheap to run, it's not going to use a lot of electricity, but also because you get, you know, a full-featured quad-core CPU, DX11 GPU, and the ability to even crossfire another low-end GPU with it for even better gaming performance. So it's kind of a small market where that it would appeal to, but there is some merit there.
So forget about this whole desktop experience. Let's talk about a laptop experience, the Alienware M14x. I know Hot Hardware had a review and a video review because I've seen it, actually. It is something else. One thing about these laptops I've always noticed is that for some reason, gamers seem to love customizing the colors on keyboards and on the front grille and the little Alienware head. That's all nice and good. How is the actual laptop, Dave?
Yeah, it sort of stems from the LAN gamer you know, contingent, if you will, that, you know, customize your machine and make it your own, and certainly the ability to stylize things with some lighting in different areas of the machine is attractive to some folks. But beyond the bling, the M14X definitely has some substance, and we tested out this 14-inch, roughly 6.5-pound machine. So, fairly svelte, smaller form factor notebook here with a full-up Core i7 quad-core 2630QM. Starts out at 2 gigahertz default clock and can turbo boost to 2.9. And an NVIDIA GeForce GT 555M mobile graphics processor under the hood. So, really what is essentially a mid-range quad-core Core i7, with hyper-threading for 8 threads, plus, a gaming GPU, what's a mid-range configuration in a very, small 14-inch notebook. A ton of horsepower in a relatively small footprint.
How's the build quality? I mean, Dell bought Alienware a while ago. I mean, and Dell's not exactly known for its, I don't know, super high-end stuff. Did this have any weirdness? I noticed it didn't have a removable battery, a user-serviceable battery. Is that, I mean, do you have any idea why Dell did that, or why Alienware did that, and how's the actual build quality of the device?
Yeah, the build quality is excellent. I mean, it's a really well-built notebook. Traditional. This has been something that the M series, the Alienware M series, has had for a while now. This rubberized coating all around, and what they call a stealth black finish is what we looked at. But there's also a red, but again, it's a rubberized, really rugged sort of coating that resists fingerprints really nicely. And yeah, you touched on the battery. It isn't user serviceable, but we've seen that, sort of a growing trend. And let's face it, Apple's been getting away with that for a long time now. In the smaller machines, 14-inch machine or the real thin and light stuff, we're starting to see that on a regular basis. And I don't know. I'm kind of getting comfortable with it now. I mean, these batteries are lasting longer. Battery technology is getting better. It's not like the old days as much where, your battery would die and you'd have to go order another one. It certainly doesn't help folks that, want to jump on a plane and travel for 6 hours and have a spare battery and swap them out. It doesn't, it doesn't get around that small limitation. But yeah, 8-cell battery internal, not user serviceable. And, in terms of performance, we saw it last about 6 hours on a standard charge, just browsing the web and doing some light-duty stuff, and a little over an hour under heavy-duty gaming. So not bad, again, for a 14-inch machine with a ton of power. But what really struck us is, this is a super high-quality notebook. It's a 14-inch panel with a native resolution of 1600 by 900, so super crisp display. Really great build quality, nice bling, with the lighting accents. I mean, you have to admit it, it looks sharp. So a nice machine, a little bit on the higher end, about $1,700. But you get what you pay for. The build quality is there.
Well, let's see, if you wanted to preserve battery life, there's also another way you could do that with SSDs. No moving parts, and they move blazingly fast. And I know Hot Hardware had a roundup pitting 6 SSDs in a cage of death. Well, just benchmarks, really. Marco, what did Hot Hardware find with all the contenders out there? Like, what are the contenders, first of all, and what was the champion?
So, yeah, it was 6 drives, 2 from Corsair, 2 from OCZ, 1 from Patriot, 1 from Crucial. 5 of the drives were using SandForce's latest 2281 controller, and the Crucial drive had a Marvell controller in it. But of those 5 SandForce drives, 2 of them were using asynchronous memory, and the rest were using synchronous memory. So we had a nice sampling of different drives that are on the market right now at varying price points. And we basically found what you'd expect. The higher end, more expensive drives using the synchronous RAM that had the higher capacities performed the best. The highest performers of the group were the Corsair Force GT, the OCZ Vertex 3 Max IOPS Edition, and the Patriot Wildfire drive. But with that said, all of the drives were very high performing, and it's interesting to check out how performance differs between the controllers and memory types, because they handle incompressible and compressible data differently. So depending on your workload, if you're just doing desktop stuff, standard day-to-day computing, office type apps, any of them are going to be super fast. If you're going to be working a lot with highly compressible data, some of the drives don't perform nearly as well. So it was interesting to check them all out.
So there's actually different use cases for different kinds of controllers. Is that what you're saying? Or I just want to make that clear because I've always been confused about SSDs when it comes to what difference a controller can make, because it's pretty much the same technology except for the controller. And I've seen some really disparate results between different drives based on the controller. Marco, could you try to explain that to me?
Sure. Well, it's actually not just the controller, the firmware on the drive and the actual configuration of the NAND and how many channels of the controller are being taken advantage of can also affect performance. So if you want to get technical and you want the best performing drive for the widest different, say, usage models where you can work with any type of data, you want a higher capacity drive with a lot of NAND flash chips that can handle incompressible data very well. If you just are looking for a mainstream drive, it's still going to be super fast, and even the slowest current gen SSD just blows any hard drive out of the water. But it won't transfer incompressible data nearly as fast. So if you're working with large video files, you will see a difference from one SSD to the other. Now, with that said, in the real world, if you were to pop any one of these drives in a system and time how long it takes to launch an app, browse the web, you would be hard-pressed to notice a difference. But there is a performance difference based on the physical NAND configuration, the controller, and the firmware. So if you want to really get technical, you can pick drives that are better suited for certain applications.
So onto the world of tablets, the Acer Iconia Tab A500. It runs on Android. I know Hot Hardware has a review on it. I actually know very little about this one. Is this a transformer? Is this what makes this amazing? Is this a gingerbread honeycomb thing? Help me, Dave. Help me now. I'm confused.
Gingerbread, honeycomb. Are we talking breakfast or lunch? So yeah, it's your basic 10.1 slate, 10.1 inch, slate with a native resolution of 1280 by 800 on the panel, honestly, not a lot to differentiate. It doesn't have an ability to hook up to a dock like the transformer does. But it's certainly, it does have a couple of features that some of the other tablets in the market don't have. And specifically, we've got a full-size USB 2.0 port on this thing, and a micro USB port, and micro HDMI as well. So some ports finally on a tablet, native PC-like ports that we've been waiting to see. The Acer's transformer has it on the dock, but not on the tablet itself. And so, it's got that going for it, but it's an NVIDIA Tegra 2 chip under the hood, 1 gigahertz Tegra 2 chip, Marco. That chip that wouldn't really exist in volume. Remember that? Yeah, that's in this one too.
Said you still don't understand my argument.
It is a bit like the Motorola Zoom and the Acer's transformer in terms of internals. That Tegra 2 platform. But it's got some ports that the others don't have. So. We'll give it a pat on the back for that, for sure.
Now, did Acer do anything to the Android experience, or is this stock honeycomb? Is there anything that makes this unique? I mean, you're saying that it's a 10.1 Android device. Hooray! What's special about this thing?
Yeah, so actually, when we got it, Android 3.1 wasn't out available on it yet, and it has since been rolled out. So that's nice to see. They got that caught up to speed. But it is pretty much a standard Android 3.1 experience with some custom UIs. Basically what the folks at Asus and Acer and certainly Samsung with the Galaxy Tab have done is to customize some home screens and to do a little bit of light customization on Honeycomb that just allows access to some of the more popular apps, whether it be books or your multimedia, music or what have you, browsing the web. So customized home screens. They've got some social widgets, a little gaming section, like I said, e-reader. It's definitely kind of more of the same. It's nice to see the extra ports on this machine. It performs, sort of in with the pack. Let's see what else we can tell you about it. It has It's DLNA compliant, you know, so you can share the media that's on it with DLNA devices, compliant devices in your home if you have them across your network. So there's some additional features here that are sort of unique to the tablet market, but nothing earth-shattering. But we like to see it. I mean, there's one thing's for sure with each new Honeycomb tablet we see, there tends to be a little bit more refinement as we go along here. And this one isn't quite as thin and sleek as like the Samsung Galaxy Tab, but it's got those extra ports and some additional features that the real thin and light ones don't have. So kind of pick your spot. What do you like? You like bulk with a few extra ports and features, or do you want super sleek and smooth and something that just looks great on the coffee table?
On to something that I have very little knowledge about. I'm reading it off the rundown. Something cool for the fans. What is this HH? Is that what is this double H thing? What's going on here?
What a non-geek.
Non-geek.
Oh,
is it not? It must be
me.
HH Honeycomb Hybrid.
Each podcast getting harder than the last. Oh my god.
It's like nails in a chalkboard.
One quick thing on the Iconia, and then I'm going to get on to what this post.
You do that.
It is a little cheaper than the others, and having that USB port to drag and drop, say, APKs, it's kind of a cool tweaker's tablet because it's not quite as expensive, and you have more opportunities to mod stuff. All right, now, but back to this post that you're talking about. This is just some fun I had. I actually posted it today, even though the stuff that's in there is a few years old. I've been a little lazy, having kids and buying a house, but whatever. So
excuses. Excuses. If I remember right, I believe it's actually. Are those newspaper clippings?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of
carbon material. It's amazing.
This weird technology where they print ink on paper and people buy it to read it.
It's really like e-ink, but like static. Is that what you're trying to tell?
It's like e-ink, but without the e and on paper.
Okay. So tell us about this thing, would you?
So when we reviewed Intel's dual CPU Skull Trail platform a few years ago, one of the quotes in the article got picked up by Intel for an ad campaign they ran, and it appeared on the front page of the Wall Street Journal and Financial Times. So of course I ran out to buy copies and eventually got around to framing them, and that was what was posted up there today and what we were showing off. So I thought we would just say, hey, look at us.
What year was that?
It was from 08.
08. Well, but kudos to you guys for getting quoted in newspapers that still exist. Okay, yes. Financial Times, and that's it. These are some good papers.
You know what's funny? The other reason that actually we're bringing this up to be a little more serious is we thought at the time, it kind of brought some, not that we weren't legitimate before, but more legitimacy to the online press where a large company like Intel picked a site like ours for this big advertising campaign. And it was just it was an interesting discussion we had at the time about, hey, we're finally, on the level with these other kind of publications. It was.
Well, yeah, to be serious, I mean, checking out Hot Hardware when you want to actually look at in-depth reviews from people who know what they're talking about. And I'm talking about, like, there are pages and pages and pages about each thing. I mean, you can learn so many things. I know I've learned so many things about AMD, Intel, APUs, just hosting this show, okay? If just reading the site, just preparing for the program, I've learned a lot. You guys have made it. That's why I'm on the show. See, there you go.
There you go. You're good.
Enough of that.
And I appreciate that. I think, and as a community, it's certainly not just us. I think that's, Marco touched on it. I think that's the hook here is that, online media for a long time was sort of like, hey, what about us too? And hey, we're up and coming, and we're blogs or whatever. They wanted to sort of frame it as. But now what you're seeing is a total tidal shift here, where old line media, print publications, and what have you are now beginning to quote us and say, check out our Facebook page and friend us, and stuff like that. And so. It's definitely a coming of age, and over the years we've seen it, and it's great to be a part of it. And yeah, they're still around, the Wall Street Journal. Go figure, they're a little company like that.
And a couple. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I hate to just to keep elaborating on this, but we've been online. We're what, approaching 12 years now, 11 years, Dave?
Oh God, yeah.
So we've kind of ridden that wave from who are you, to, oh, it's a legitimate publication. So we've been there from the beginning when people had no idea what to expect to now. So that was just one of those inflection points where it gave us a little pride.
All right, to repay the people for listening to that.
Yes.
Is there any contests available, maybe potentially giving the listeners and viewers of this program something for their hard-earned time that we just wasted talking about how great Hot Hardware is?
If you weren't so sarcastic, I would reveal more details.
Oh, it's my fault. Okay.
Yes.
It's your fault.
Your
So
fault.
everybody that comments on this, it's IYAZ.
Put it in the comments. It's IYAZ. It's in the intro credits. Blame me because that's why you are not getting information. But is there any more information you can give us? Come on, Marco.
I will give you more information.
All right, let's go.
We're not ready to announce. We are working with our partners here to pull something together. We have some of the stuff already lined up. We're trying to get the rest, and as soon as we know all of the details, we will spring it on everybody. And this is one of those builds where it'll be us building it again, so we'll have lots of flexibility in how we present this contest. So good stuff coming, just not just yet.
I bet those details will be available at hothardware.com and around the web, everywhere. I bet you that. It'll be at facebook.com/hothardware, maybe even twitter.com/hothardware. It'll definitely be on dig.com/hothardware, maybe on youtube.com/hothardwarevids. If you're watching an episode of 2.5 Geeks, then we talk about the contest. So you can't escape it. It's everywhere.
I have one more thing to say.
What is that, Mr.?
Lamar, the winner of our last contest. We are building your rig next week. Do not worry, my friend. And it will ship, and it will be beautiful. And you will love it.
We're building it out. You're
soon.
flying me out to the East Coast so I can watch this? No.
Sure.
Yeah, baby.
Hooray! No, but Marco builds the best machine. So, Lamar, you're in for a treat. This is going to be really
document
clean.
it.
Yeah, and Dave will document it, and then I will edit it.
I'm blushing.
Oh, enough of that.
Marco won't get any strained peas or anything on it. Trust me, with the kids around. Nah, don't worry about that.
So that pretty much wraps up this episode of 2.5 Geeks. We'll see everybody next week. Thanks for stopping by.